Hi. Hi, today I'm going to review the Pilot 78G. Right, so the Pilot 78G. This was one of the second or third pens I ever bought. It's part of my everyday carry. I think I first bought the black one. It comes in 3 colors: red, blue, green, teal, turquoise, and black. I think what attracted me most about Pilot 78Gs was the fact that it has an Italic stub nib. It has F, B, and double B versions. Apparently there might be a medium round, but I'm not sure. You can easily swap these out with the other Pilot nibs, so it's no big deal. What I like about it is that it's extremely inexpensive. I think online you can maybe purchase them for around $8 to $10 US. I personally got this for $7 locally. It comes, depending on where you buy it. Mine came with a squeezy converter, and they're nice and all, but you can also use the regular Pilot Namiki cartridges, or even the Pilot Con 40s actually. If I undo it here, I'm currently using a Pilot Con 40 converter on one of mine. Anyway, if you want to take these apart, I think it's friction fit. It's just a feed, a nib, and the unit. That's all it is really. So my experience with this is I like this pen a lot. The price it's a very low barrier of entry, and personally, when I go on a trip and I think and I ask myself, what's the first pen that I would bring that's reliable, that I don't mind getting broken or getting cracked, is the Pilot 78Gs. In fact, most recently I went on a trip and I just brought along 2 Pilot 78Gs. One F nib, one B nib. The B nib being, of course, the Italic nib. They didn't really leak much, and despite all my mistreatment of them, they performed admirably. Of course, there's one slight downside regarding the Italic nib, the B stub. I believe it's a 1.1 mm stub nib, which means it's very close to the Lamy Italic 1.1 mm. Downside is if you have oily hands. I've experienced this, and you're slowly writing down the page and your oils get on the paper, it will have trouble adhering to the paper, and you'll end up getting a thin line instead of a nice thick broad Italic line. Of course, the solution is very simple. Just remember to just keep an extra sheet as a sacrificial protection, and you won't be affected by oils later down the line. If asked for a beginner fountain pen for anyone, I would totally recommend an F nib and a B nib. I didn't talk anything about the F nib. It's a Pilot fine nib. It's Japanese fine, which means it's maybe around 0.3, 0.4 mm, and it's pretty good for sketching. I mean, obviously, if you like sketching with fountain pens, that is, it provides a thin enough line to do enough detail work. Now I think I should do a little bit of writing sample. One thing about these are very light plastic, but it feels durable. It's not like the Sailor Clear Candy, which sounds like really crackly plastic that might shatter if you press too hard on the body. These just really feel durable, rather like the Kavico Sport. Just for anyone who's curious, this is actually some ink I got really recently. It's Hero Blue Black. I don't even know why it's, yeah. And this one's just a regular Pilot Namiki Pilot Black. Pilot Black. Questions you might ask: can this pen do cursive? Yes, it can. Cursive with an Italic nib, cursive writing. You might also ask, oh, can this pen draw penguins? One thing I like about Italic nib is if you're doing line shading, it's actually a reasonably fun way to do line shading. There you go. That's a penguin. If you enjoy sketching with fine fountain pens, I think this provides a decent amount of detail. You can see the amount of line variation. Well, not much, but you can see it's got some decent, reasonably fine. You might be asking yourself, what is this? I have no idea. I think I will call this a, sure, why not? How about a greater crayfish. There we go. So that's why I rate it. One penguin, one greater crowfish. An obligatory hedgehog. Super cheap, very low barrier of entry. It gives you both the Italic nib and the fine nib experience. I don't see why anyone shouldn't have this, at least in their everyday carry. Here's something you should never do with fountain pens. This is tough. Something's wet. Nope, I'm just kidding. I can't even see the black pen in this light. No, don't do this at home, kids. No, I can't do it. No, can't do it. Give up. Never mind.